Hello everyone, welcome back to Pro Tour Amsterdam 2010. We have had a great Pro Tour lunch. I imagine some of you have had a great Pro Tour Amsterdam breakfast, some of you have had a great Pro Tour Amsterdam dinner, some of you are having a midnight snack around about now.
I imagine some of you took a little cat nap.
Good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like that. We do thank you, each and every one of you, for being with us, especially if you're in the United States and you're 5 hours behind and it's still, getting into the morning now on a Sunday morning back in New York and early morning over where Paul Reitzel lives in Los Angeles. Let's take you very quickly through what's been happening, maybe through your night, which was the quarterfinals. In those, the big headline, Brad Nelson defeats Kai Buddha by 3-2. Guillaume Wafatapa loses out to Moraine Liebert 3-1. Michael Jacob 3-2 edges past Brian Kibler, and then Paul Reitzel in a real sideboard coup, one might say, over Thomas Ma of the United States. Binyam, you've got a great story about that one.
So if you look at the numbers of White Weenie matched up against Jundex, Jund was a 90% favorite over the course of this tournament. 9 out of every 10 times a Jundek played White Weenie, Jund won.
Yep. So that makes Ma the overwhelming favorite against Reitzel.
Ma was actually a favorite all the way through to the finals, in every possible matchup. But this doesn't account for experience. We said that in the early part. Gabriel Nassif worked with Paul overnight. They said, these relic of progenitors are going to be really important. You really want to convert to be more of a control deck. Hopefully he won't take out his Tarmogoyfs. We can render his Tarmogoyfs useless.
They will be inert 0-1s.
Yep. And that's exactly how it played out. In Game 3, Paul Reitzel kept a 1-land, 2-relic hand. Missed a land drop, but was never in any danger. 2 Tarmogoyfs were kept at 0-1 throughout. He eventually drew a Knight of the White Orchid, kind of exploded out finally, dropped a couple of Burned and Forged Tenders to make a Raging Ravine irrelevant, and handily took the game with Spectral Procession tokens a couple turns later.
It turns out you can change the format as much as you want, but who's the beatdown has relevance every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is just a thing of great beauty, and congratulations not only to Paul, but to his team, the squad, that thought that all through. That's a real coup that is overturning the odds. And commiserations to Thomas Ma, but a fabulous weekend for the first time at the Pro Tour. So, semi-finals, let's talk about what we've got here. We have got Brad Nelson with his Doran deck up against Moraine Liebert with the deck we don't know too much about from the weekend because not many people ran it, and this is Fish, Merfolk.
Sure, whenever we've been looking at data points for all the different matchups, Fish keeps just coming up as like too small a sample size. Not a lot of people played this deck. Not a lot of people have experience playtesting against it. Brad actually is one of the few players who has a substantial amount of experience playtesting against it, because this is a deck he was considering playing coming into this event.
Right.
So he was coming in he was going to play that deck. He played against Brian Kibler, who had the Treehouse deck. Brian Kibler smashed him repeatedly, and he said, "Oh, I'm not going to play Fish. I'm going to play this Treehouse."
So on that basis, he's in a pretty good seat.
He seems to be in a pretty good seat. He gets to play first. He's going to play first throughout. Interestingly, that new rule which says that the higher seeded player gets to choose to play or draw first didn't seem to have much impact on people's decisions to draw as it came down to the final rounds this weekend.
But maybe that's going to change.
I could see that changing. Paul was already talking about, he's like, I had a draw, this, that, and the other thing. But it's like, boy, if I could have been the top seed, that would have been really good.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see if this rule has any impact on how the final rounds play out.
So do you take Nelson over?
I'm going to take Nelson. Nelson started off 0-2, but I'm going to take Nelson to pull off the victory here.
All right. Now, there are counterspells in that match in the form of Cryptic Command and Mana Leak for Moraine. There are counterspells aplenty in the other semi-final. And this features Michael Jacob running his teachings, deck Grixis teachings, if you like, up against Paul Reitzel, who defeated Thomas Ma with White Weenie. So what does that matchup look like?
Well, that matchup looks pretty grim for Paul. He's facing the Cruel Control deck that has the Punishing Fire Engine to start with, is able to bring in tutorable, Consume the Meeks, Damnations, just it's kind of a nightmare scenario for Paul on all fronts. But there's a lot of lands that come into play tapped. There's a lot of weirdly sequenced draws. Paul is on the play in this matchup.
Okay.
And a couple of inconsistent draws, and he can explode out of the gate and maybe sneak one out. But I think I think almost everyone who's looked at this matchup seems to agree that Michael Jacob is, a solid favorite.
Then again, everyone who looked at the quarterfinal match said that Thomas Marr was a strong favorite.
I'll give it to you to pick.
Didn't he? Well, I take Rietzel.
Okay. I'll take Michael Jacob here.
I just... When I saw Paul in his first top 8 in Honolulu, he was building his deck after the draft. And he was looking at his deck and he said, it could win. And he was saying those words, and what his body language was saying, it can't win. He knew he didn't have the deck that was winning the Pro Tour. But all weekend, that White Weenie deck in the hands of Kai, in the hands of himself, Gabriel Nassif, it has the pedigree, and he got to bring the deck he chose into the top 8 this time. And it seems to me that he feels, well, I do have the deck that can win, and he says it and means it this time. And that's so important, because really wanting it is key. You can't just kind of stumble over the line.
Sure.
So those are our semi-finals. I'm not quite sure how our players are going. Brad Nelson and Moraine Liebert, that is where we are going to start, I can tell you, in Doran against Fish. So we're just about ready. Now, you start the weekend with 456 possible opponents. By day 2, you're down to 153. The rounds keep on ticking by. You go to bed on Saturday night, there are just 7 players between you and the trophy. Now 4 of those have gone. 2 more matches, 6 more games. It's time to send another 2 home, and it's time for the semi-finals. Hello and welcome to the semi-finals of Pro Tour Amsterdam 2010. There you see the 4 players. On the back table we have Michael Jacob of the United States against Paul Rietzel of the United States. And on the front table we have Moraine Liebert of Belgium. There you see him. And in the foreground, the left shoulder and the beard that could only be Brad Nelson. There he is, getting ready with his Treetop Village. There you see him. Brad Nelson against Moraine Liebert. That is our first semi-final getting underway with Doran for Brad Nelson and the Fish for Moraine Liebert. So BDM, let's get into this. We begin with Brad doing very nicely, thank you, with Treefolk Harbinger. That's gone and got a nameless inversion, a removal spell for a creature that does not yet exist but will shortly.
Brad started off with Treetop Village. He hasn't played a second land yet this turn. Let's see. And there we go. There's the Murmuring Bosk. It's kind of amazing to me that you could have a quarterfinals that saw Brian Kibler, Kai Buda, and Guillaume Wafatapa get eliminated, and that there would still be 2 incredibly compelling, star-filled matches to go in the semifinals.
Yeah.
Such a testament to the depth of talent in this top 8. Yeah. I see a Spreading Seas on turn 2 on the Murmuring Bosk.
Indeed. So here, have a free island. Just what Brad wanted for Christmas. Gets out of that hole with Murmuring Bosk revealing the nameless inversion, so it comes into play untapped. He activates Treetop Village and sends for the first damage of the match. Moraine did not have a haircut during lunch. And just to be clear, BDM, even if he wins, he's going into the world of business in a couple of weeks' time. So he is going to go into the world of work. That is his plan. He was saying at lunchtime, you know, even if I win, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to work.
I believe that he said that. I do not.
Stop it. Stop it. You'll get him in trouble. So there's the Sovereign. Royalty for Moraine.
Misty Rainforest, that is a Bosk for Brad.
Doran, and in I go with my Treefolk Harbinger. So Moraine with a ton of counter magic available to him in his main deck. He has the mini counterspell of Curse Catcher that can make instants and sorceries cost more. He has your 4 Cryptic Command, 4 Mana Leak in the main deck. Got Glenlendra Archmage sitting in the board.
Love the synergy between Spreading Seas and the Merfolk deck.
Yes. And there we see Silvergill Adept generating a little bit of card advantage from Moraine, revealing Lord of Atlantis because that's absolutely fine. I'm about to cast him, so I'm not giving you any free information.
So it's a 3/3, a 3/3, and a 4/3 on the board. From Moraine with
3/3, a 3/3, and a 4/3, indeed. Against a 0/3 and a 0/5 that aren't really. So in both the quarterfinal and the semi-final, on the face of it, Brad Nelson has been the control player because he's been behind a White Windy deck and now he's behind a Merfolk deck. And yet, in essence, the Doran deck is pretty explosive and is designed to hit the red zone.
And it's going to hit the red zone right here as well.
Sure. He's thinking about it.
He's just trying to decide whether or not he wants to give up a treetop village in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Says nah.
Just the 2. So there you see the board position. Lord Sovereign and a pretty above itself Silvergill Adept at 4/3.
The only reasonable blocks from Moraine would involve him pretty much losing everything.
Yep. Which doesn't seem like a great plan.
You could trade for a Treefolk Harbinger, but... And there's still that Nameless Inversion lurking to muck around with things.
Mm-hmm. There's a Putrid Leech there in Nelson's hand. And Nelson doing some math, it looks like.
Thinking about whether or not he wants to kill something here.
Off goes Misty Rainforest.
Moraine is already down to 6. All the Bosks are accounted for. It's funny, we joked about that in the... preview, that Murmuring Bosk was a card that was sold out, Treefolk Harbinger was a card that was sold out, and Doran were cards that were all sold out from the dealers.
It's an interesting possibility here. Although Moraine is a long way behind, Cryptic Command has the possibility to tap all the monsters.
Oh, absolutely.
At which point, Brad comes in theory, for the kill. And says, no, tell you what, let's just tap them all. Hit you.
Hit you.
And there's actually a possibility here for Moraine, although, as I say, he does seem a long way behind at the moment, and there's that Nameless Inversion waiting in the wings.
15.
Though it looks like it's about to come out of Brad's hand. And there goes the Lord of Atlantis. Nelson taps 2 more. This will probably be Putrid Leech. There it is. And unlike some of the other games so far this top 8, he does have the luxury of being able to turn that into a 4/4. 1 mana open.
4 cards.
Yep.
Go.
And we will head back to the Belgian. Broke his quarterfinal duck at the 4th attempt. Geneva 07, Hollywood 08, Worlds Rome 09. And now here he is. The Pro Tour semi-final. Just to let you know, we've got some tremendous Scars of Mirrodin cards to show you during these semi-finals. In between the games, we're going to bring you a set of 4 cards at a time. We've got 20 altogether to show you. If you haven't seen all these yet, it'd be great to share some of the Scars news with you. Some pretty funky things there. I know you're pretty excited, BDM, about a certain Planeswalker coming along.
The new Planeswalker that premiered last night is very exciting, as Planeswalkers tend to be.
Yeah,
they tend to not use the lesser designs on those cards.
No. Yes, it's something you're going to want to get your hands on. That is for sure.
Oh, blue Planeswalker. Will this be good?
Hard to say, really. Okay, so there's Curse Catcher for Moraine. Just make instants and sorceries that little bit harder to cast for Brad.
Make that 3/2 guy unblockable.
So in I come. And Moraine has Cryptic Command mana up. 6 plays 11.
Cards.
I'll offer up an attack phase here before you do anything.
Declare attackers.
Oh my! So in the other table, we have some exciting news. Michael Jacob went to a turn 5 Cruel Ultimatum off of his Relic of Progenitus.
Which is awesome. No, Coalition Relic.
Coalition Relic, sorry.
Yep.
But not as awesome as mana-tithing that Cruel Ultimatum.
Ooh, beatings.
Paul Reitzel has taken game 1 against Michael Jacob.
And talking of beatings, there was the Cryptic Command from Moraine.
Oops, 12. Oh, thank you. So tap team bounce your target.
He announced he was bouncing the Treetop Village and tapping the team. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And now, what does Nelson have to muster defense?
Maelstrom Pulse on the Sovereign.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And then
And another Trifo Harbinger.
And he's just shuffling. He's not even looking for anything there. His tree folk options are not things he wants.
That could have gone better for Moraine, because that's the plan where you really hope that you end up with essentially nothing, relay a Treetop Village and we're done.
Yeah.
But so have some defense, kill your Sovereign.
He's lordless. It's anarchy over there.
You can still have democracy.
Yeah, but he scoops instead.
Okay, so Brad Nelson leads by 1-0, and some spontaneous applause erupts in the crowd. So Reitzel leads Jacob by 1-0. Let us take you to the first 4 cards of our Scars of Mirrodin preview. Let's take a look at coming up on screen right now. Here we go. We've got 4 there: Goblin, Gavalier, Goldmere, Icarats, or Icarats, depending on your viewpoint. And BDM, I know of these 4, you'd like to talk a little bit about Azuri's Brigade.
I love this card. I've played Mirrodin.
Just observe, by the way, that on our graphic you can't actually see the power and toughness. Better tell them what it is.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That's 2 GG. I have a very nice full image here on my iPad that I can look at.
On your what, BDM? on your iPad.
Yeah,
how
it's
lovely.
very nice.
How lovely for you.
2 GG for a Elf Warrior. That's a 4/4.
Okay.
And then this features a new mechanic or a new keyword, Metalcraft, which says as long as you control 3 or more artifacts, Azuri's Brigade gets +4/+4 and has trample.
There
so
it is on screen, Azuri's Brigade.
This is an 8/8 for 4 mana, assuming that you have, assuming that Scars of Mirrodin will have some inexpensive artifacts that you can get into play on the early turns of the game.
Oh, right, okay. You think there may be an artifact themed to Scars of Mirrodin?
I think that may not be very challenging.
All right, okay. That looks pretty exciting then. In fact, there you see one of those cards that you were talking about, Gold.
Sure. We know that the Cycle of Mirror are returning. They were staple mana fixtures and mana accelerators in the Mirrodin block. You play one of those on turn 2. Assume you have some other sort of artifact on turn 1. You play a Relic of Progenitus, say. you do something, and it's not that hard to imagine a scenario where you have an 8-8 in play on turn 3.
And
Turn 4, or turn 3.
Sure, and I know there are going to be people looking at the Cavalier and thinking, how much equipment can I actually pile on that guy?
That's exactly what happened with Rashad Miller. Rashad went right to the Cavalier when they had the party last night. You kind of like the Icarats, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they look pretty interesting. I like this idea of infect. This seems like a new thing that's coming into Magic. There we go.
So the Icarats are 1 BB for a rat, a 2/1 rat that has infect. So whenever it attacks,